Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's launch webinar for the Oracle Analytics Data Visualization Challenge. Thank you so much for starting your Monday and starting your week with us for this very exciting competition launch. It's great to see so many of you on the Zoom today and so many of you volunteering for this extra community activity that we're pulling together today. This is the first Oracle Analytics Data Visualization Challenge, and today marks the first day of a whole month that you get access to Oracle Analytics and a load of preloaded data in order to showcase to us your data visualization talents. We're very well aware within the Oracle Analytics team that we have a community of users across our partners, customers, and employees that are super fabulous at using Oracle Analytics, and we're really excited to see what you can create in this kind of competition environment. Today's session is just going to be a quick hour, maybe a little bit more, to take you through some of those basics around the competition and get you really clued up and excited to get started with us. We're going to start with a brief hello and welcome from Ben Arnold. We're then going to move into some interviews with the Oracle Analytics community to learn a bit more about data visualization with analytics and where this competition is coming from. And then we're going to get into the detail about how this challenge is going to function. We're going to talk about how you log in, how you access the data that we've provided for you and what data that is, how you're going to be judged when it comes to your entries, and then finally, what are those training resources we're going to put on for you to help you learn and develop your data visualization skills as we go along. Now, to kick us off, it wouldn't be the Data Visualization Challenge without the man that inspired or originated the idea of running this. Unfortunately, Ben Arnoff, who is our analytics community lead, is currently on the road to Mumbai for the Oracle Data Intelligence Summit over there. So very unfortunate clash from us, but he has kindly left us a quick video to talk through his vision and excitement behind the challenge.
Hi everyone and welcome to the Oracle Analytics Data Visualization Challenge. My name is Ben, I'm Senior Director of Product Strategy for Oracle Analytics. I'm really happy to have you registering to the Oracle Analytics Data Visualization Challenge. Our vision is to have beginners to experts join our community and create the best data visualization possible. Remember, you can start from scratch. You have access to more than 60 data visualization types, from pivot table to Sankey to donuts to forecast. You can also add some images, logo, text. You will have access to more than 10 different data sets. You can use map with different type of layers. You can use images and draw polygon on top of it and attach this polygon to a data set. You can use dark mode and play with different colors. You will be able to use Mapbox, OpenStreetMap, the AI assistant, the explain feature, contextual insight. You will be able to use auto insight to help you. And finally, what we really want you to do is to join our Oracle Analytics community, ask questions from our community expert, from our product manager, and learn how to use the tool. At the end, we will recognize you, we will invite you to different webinars, we will ask you to show us how you create your data visualization, and we will feature you online. So again, thank you for joining the webinar today, for joining the challenge, and I'm looking to see your best data visualization.
Fabulous. Thanks, Ben. Again, he sends his apology for being in Mumbai at this moment, but I'm super excited to welcome you to the challenge on his behalf. My name is Maddie Gregor-Wilson. I'm a member of the Oracle Analytics community team under Ben, and I'm super excited to be bringing together this challenge for you today. Now, as you will have seen in the background of Ben's videos, we already know that Oracle Analytics is capable of creating some incredible visualizations, and there have been many visualizations circulated from the Oracle Analytics team that you will have seen, whether those are some of the amazing assets designed around Oracle Red Bull Racing, whether it's some of the visualizations that have been designed as part of our AI services integration, or even looking at some of the content produced around the Gartner BI Bake Off. However, what our focus is for this challenge is not what's come before. We're looking to tap into that strong vein of talent that comes within our community. We're looking at our customers, our partners, and our employees and our user base to see what kind of data visualizations they can dream up and create with our technology. Now, to start us off, we've got a fabulous speaker who has a load of experience when it comes to data visualization, and I'd love to welcome Brendan Joyle to join me on the screen. Hi, Brendan. How are you doing today?
I'm wonderful. How are you, Maddie?
All
Everyone?
good. All the better for seeing you. Fabulous. I'd love to get you started just by asking a quick question about one of the recent ways you were using data visualization. I'm aware that we recently took part in the Gartner BI Bake Off. Could you give our audience a bit of context as to what that is and what lessons you learned about data visualization through it?
Absolutely. So, just a little background. I'm Brendan Doyle on the product strategy team for Oracle Analytics, but I primarily focus on the analytics community. So, Gartner themselves have this on-stage competition. And last year, Oracle was invited for the first time to be on the big stage. We were up against some lesser-known vendors like Power BI and Tableau, and went up against them, showing our data stories side by side, and really shocked the crowd. I think a big thing that really helped us stand out was the ease of use and also just the ability to tell the story in so many various different ways. Is with Oracle Analytics, the medium is the message. For some people like to dive into the data and poke around in the visualization. Other people like to hear it delivered to them via a podcast with their mobile app or read it with visualizations like our language narrative. No matter what way you consume information, we deliver it with Oracle Analytics. I think that really helped us stand out in that on-stage competition at Gartner.
Yes, thank you so much for sharing that bit of information. So when it comes to the challenge of the Oracle Analytics Data Visualization Challenge, we are not the first ones in the community to pull something like this together. You were involved in some of the more recent opportunities for people to get involved like this. Could you give us an idea of what kind of initiatives have come before and the groups that have been involved in them?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it just kind of echoes the voice of our community wanting more of this and getting it from a much higher level with this new challenge. But a few years back, ODTUG, one of our Oracle user groups, reached out to our analytics product strategy team and asked for something similar to this of doing a data storytelling competition. I think the timelines were different. The first one, we did two separate ones, was over about a week, and the other was again over like maybe a couple of weeks or a month, but a lot was learned, and a lot of the community came out strong and full force with their visualizations, their stories, or even just life throwing challenges their way. I know a few people had to do it in the airport, but were able to deliver those stories and send in. But it was really cool to see everyone create so many various different stories, focus on the topic that they're more passionate about. Because I think that is a really strong part with these 10 different preloaded data sets. Find one that resonates with you more. That could always help just being able to tell that story that much more naturally when it comes time to the end of this competition. But yeah, ODTUG was a great originator to this competition a few years back. So it's exciting to see it from spread across all of our communities. So I'm excited to see what everyone can create.
Absolutely. And I think some of the stories you shared there really do speak to the dedication of some of the people in the analytics community. Before we leave you, have you got any piece of advice for the audience before we move on?
Yes, I do. You heard it through Ben and Maddie, but I think you're also seeing it in the chat. Leverage our community. If you're not already on the Oracle Analytics community site, which I think the links are now in the chat, we'll have the forums. We'll have a lot of areas where you can interact with each other, as well as our product managers. So if you have questions simply about the product or even ideas, when you're getting your hands dirty in this competition, you may see things or want more features that aren't yet there. So we have our idea lab as well. And that would be a great spot to submit the idea, and our community of users and partners will be able to vote on that in agreement saying, we would love this for the product in the next release. So definitely encourage sharing your voice, whatever way you see fit within the community channel, and just poke around for fun to see what else is in there. There are loads and loads of resources, so that it was definitely the home for everything you'll need.
Oh, fabulous. What a great segue. Thank you, Brendan. Really appreciate your
Absolutely.
time. Have a
Thanks,
good
Maddie.
day.
Good luck, everyone.
Thanks. Well, Brendan mentioned there some of the previous examples of people that have got involved and groups that have got involved in data visualization. But actually, even within Oracle, we ran our own internal visualization competition last year. So the 2024 session involved just Oracle Analytics employees. I'm really excited to take you through the top 5 entries that we had from last year. So the first, here we have Anita Gupta's entry that took some HR data and built up this really beautiful analysis on attrition within one company. And you can see a huge range of charts and visualizations she used there. We also had Patrick Goubet providing this incredible interactive visualization on Oracle advertising data. Again, a really nice way to incorporate lots of different types of analysis. Gautam Pisharam explored some of Oracle's network visualizations, looking at the topic of human communities and networks, which is obviously a massively complex topic to condense down into one visualization, but he did that incredibly beautifully. And we also had Hrishikesh Kopkar, who provided this really detailed and impactful visualization on the rate at which the Earth's temperature is warming, and doing that in such a stunning way, obviously conveying an even stronger message. However, the top scorer out of all of these 5 is here with me today to talk about her data visualization. I'd love to welcome Rebecca Mackes onto the screen to talk to us about her US wildfires visualization. Hi, Rebecca, how are you doing today?
Hi, I'm good. Thank you for having me.
It's
good to
great to
be
have
here.
you. Fabulous. So I'd love to just jump in with a bit of a quick question for you as one of our previous winners. This challenge is really about looking at a marriage between analysis and design and how you bring that together in technology. How does your own career history kind of represent that balance?
So I work in OCI now, Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, as a TPM on a data analytics team. And I but I actually pivoted into tech from a design background. So I was a theatrical designer. I also created interactive public art installations as part of my work. And that background has given me what I call sort of soft skill superpowers. The most important of which is understanding storytelling. Theater gave me a really deep understanding of human communication. So basically, how our brains work, how we take in and process information and turn that into meaning. All data viz is about taking vast amounts of data and condensing that into as simple a visual as possible. So we want that visual to tell a story about the data, to communicate something critical, an insight about our business, a critical problem we need to fix, places where we are efficient or not efficient, whatever, right? And effective data storytelling is all about human communication. So I leverage my background to empower my use of visual communication to tell data stories.
That's fabulous. And I'd love it if you could just take us through. You mentioned to me that there were those 3 guiding lights behind creating the incredible example of data visualization. Could you walk our audience through those, please?
Yeah, of course. So it all goes back to communication. So sort of my 3 guiding principles are: first, understand your audience. Who are they? What are their goals? So let's consider an example, right? You have a customer who needs to explain a process challenge to an executive who doesn't understand their process. Who is your audience? It isn't just the individual contributor you're working with. It's also the executive. And each person is going to have different goals and needs. What are the needs of the IC? What are they trying to accomplish? How do the needs of the executive differ from theirs? So one thing I'll do is make a list of each person or group that's going to use this dashboard, and underneath that, list out what are their goals and needs, so I could understand their perspective. This kind of leads to the second thing, which is what they ask for versus what they actually need. Because a lot of people don't know. You'll have a customer come to you and they'll say, I need this, this, and this. But a lot of times they're just guessing when they ask for something. They don't actually know. So part of our job is to empower people to communicate effectively. So I put myself in their place. I'm the IC, I'm trying to explain a problem. I'm the executive, I'm trying to action a solution. What do I need to hit those goals? When I understand what they're trying to do, not just what they asked for, then I can leverage my data visualization expertise to their advantage, and it really helps them out. And frankly, it reduces my churn because I'm not having to like go over and over again as they're making guess after guess after guess, right? The third thing is using the design elements to supercharge communication. So everything we see has meaning. One shape feels dynamic, another gives a feeling of stability, one color can indicate urgency, another feels calming. The design elements use color, line, shape, etc. to help create focus and meaning. The goal is to create layers of meaning to communicate ideas as quickly and simply as possible. You want your customer to understand complex relationships and interlocking ideas as quickly as possible. You can use the design elements to help you achieve this goal.
Fabulous. And I think the audience will have picked up on the fact that you do actually have a background in teaching and coaching people to develop these kind of skills. I wonder, is there one activity or piece of advice you could give the audience to help them upskill their design when it comes to this journey?
Yes, so I actually used to teach a class in visual communication. And an approach I used with my students was to start by taking as much away as possible. Like just clean it out, have as little on the page as you possibly can, and then start slowly layering things back in. You want to create hierarchy of meaning without overwhelming with a bunch of visual information. So start with the bare bones and then slowly add things in. Add a single color, change the thickness of one line, add in just the text you need. So I usually take away everything as much as possible without deleting the visual itself, and then add single piece at a time until I feel like until I'm communicating what I need with as little as possible. You can usually tell when you add that one thing too many, and you can take it back out again, right? But you can't figure that out unless you take it down and then add it back.
Yes. Oh, that's a very, very good piece of advice. Thank you so much, Rebecca, for joining us to share your perspective, and congratulations again on being our top scorer from the championship last year. It was great to have you on.
Thanks again.
Fabulous. Have a great day. Excellent. Well, team, now that we've seen a little bit about what's come before, let's talk about how we're going to get started with the new competition. We're going to walk you through a few things today before we leave you. We're going to talk about how you get logged into the challenge itself. We're going to talk through some of the data that you're going to have access to. We'll talk through how your submissions are going to be judged. And finally, we'll talk about the training and support available to you while you're going through this competition. To start off with getting started, many of you will be aware that you haven't yet been given access to Oracle Analytics Cloud. That will be going live in about 40 minutes just over. So you'll be getting an email to your inbox at 9 a.m. PST when the championship launches. And that will contain a link that takes you through to Oracle Analytics Cloud. Once you open and bookmark that Oracle Analytics link, you may have to log in with the Oracle account you created to join this competition. But once you're in there, all we need you to do is just toggle on those custom groups within the customize homepage option on the menu. And those will bring up the datasets and DVAs we've prepared for you when it comes to exploring specific data for this competition. I would highly recommend you go into the DVAs to have a look at the data profile, have a look at some of the insights contained within the dataset before you start using them as a resource, but you can obviously also just navigate straight to the data tab and see those datasets. You are not limited to the 10 or so data sets we've provided you. You are more than welcome to bring in your own data, as well as obviously creating your own map layers and exploring some of the extensions within Oracle Analytics that we've loaded up for you. Before I hand you over to Carrie and Philippe to talk about the data, I will just mention a couple of things you might get stuck on when trying to access this instance. If you have logged in or signed up with a non-business or non-academic email address, you may struggle to get access to this account. This is because we can only provide access to people with business or academic email addresses for this competition. So all you need to do is go back and re-register with either a business or an academic email address, and I will send you the link to OAC directly over the next couple of days. The second issue you might have is if you don't have a corresponding Oracle account created in alignment with the email address you signed up to for the competition. All you need to do is go onto the Oracle Analytics support pages for this competition. We've included the link there, and you just need to create the Oracle account with the email address you've received correspondence about this competition with. Fabulous. It's a maximum of 3 Canvas entries per entrant, so you have plenty to play around with and submit if you'd like. And our overall deadline is February the 28th, so you have a full month from today. Now, without further ado, I will hand over to Carrie and Philippe, who are going to talk you through some of the data. Carrie is our fabulous sports analytics whiz, so she'll be talking about some of the sports data and industry content we've got for you. And Philippe, who is our AI and machine learning genius, will be taking you through a demo of some of the things he created. Carrie, I'll hand straight over to you.
Sounds good. Thanks. So Maddie mentioned that there's about 10 data sets. We're just going to talk about 3 and Philippe is going to give us a great demo to get your hands in for some of you who are new to OAC. For those esports people, we have a great telemetry data set that allows you to do visualizations and trending over laps of races that have occurred. All of these can also have some comparisons to Oracle Red Bull Racing's Max Verstappen. So very exciting to be able to dive into that data and look through that. For you science types, we have some drug safety information. Sometimes having data sets that you're familiar with or that you can understand what some value is that can come out of that data allows you to create some really valuable content. So we're providing a few different examples of different visualizations that can be created in that data set. And most people drive. If not, you're probably familiar with some type of insurance. We have an auto insurance. These are all fictitious data sets. So please, if you see some kind of joining between them that's not working, you can do some extra filters. But this data set allows you to have some of the highest factors that are used for presenting data. Some of the factors used for setting insurance rates. So you can use those visualizations to be able to showcase how that works. So next slide, we're going to give you 3 different examples of dashboards. Like Maddie said, jump in, take a look at them. You can see how they're implemented. These are just some different items that are implemented inside of each dashboard, whether you're trying to do a background image, much like what we saw with Rebecca's fire dashboard. There's a great canvas image you can upload. There's a lot of different settings within OAC. We're going to see some of those that are going to be presented by Philippe here live. And then there's some other points of interest that you can look at. So hopefully these will help you get excited. And Philippe, if you want to jump into the data and give us a look at how a user might be able to interact with the data, that would be awesome.
Thank you very much, Carrie. Can you hear me?
You sound great.
All right, great. Thanks. Let me briefly share my screen. Can you confirm you're seeing my screen coming up?
Yep.
Yep. Thank you very much. So let me thanks for that presentation, Carrie. Let me take a few minutes here to talk to you a little bit about, give you a brief demo. There is no way I can talk to you about all of this 70 different capabilities of visualization and all the details that can be used by you in this challenge. However, I'd like to spend some time showing you how, from a objective, from a target, from a message you want to get across, how easy it can be for you to go and visualize and dive into the data using Oracle Analytics. So for this, instead of looking at existing visualization, I'm going to use this data set that Carrie talked about. So if I look for Red Bull, there is a data set called Red Bull Racing. I'm just going to open it here. This data set is made up of multiple files. You can see one that is telemetry here, one that is sessions and turns. So this represents our Red Bull simulator with lots of rows about all sorts of metrics such as speed, throttle, steer for every session and every user that has tested it. So let's pretend that we don't know this data, which is true in my case. And let's go ahead and create a workbook with this data. As you notice, there were 3 files, and you can see these 3 files being joined here. So you may already be familiar with some of the augmented capabilities. Actually, I'm going to talk to you about some augmented capabilities, and then I'm going to talk to you about the capability of extending OAC with custom visualization. And finally, how simple it is to go and get into the details, the devil's in the detail, and look at the properties of each of these. Screen go. Okay, sorry. Look at the properties of each of these and tune your visualization. So to start with, there are lots of augmented capabilities, and I don't have time to spend too much on Auto Insights, which will reveal some visualization on your data, or Assistant, AI Assistant. But what I want to take a minute on is, I am not familiar with the data, and I would like to have an understanding of what it is about, and why don't I invoke the explain capability? So here we have telemetry, which has current lap time in milliseconds, and then it has lots of different metrics. And of course, this is captured for every session, for every lap, actually for every position in the lap. So I'm going to invoke Oracle Analytics Explain. I did a right click on the metric here, and that already gives me a distribution of records by current lap time. So these are milliseconds, right? So, okay. And it then breaks down the current lap time, milliseconds, by different dimensions that exist across all my files, not just one file, but the entire data set. So I can see a breakdown by lab number. I can see a breakdown by all sorts of dimensions here that exist. That gives me a perception of the data. So that gets me a little bit familiar with it. I can also see what are the key drivers of the current lab time. So you may already be familiar with the explain feature, but that helps me understand that current lap time is obviously sort of correlated with speed or gear or sector, I don't know, whatever data points we have in this data set. So you know what? I'm going to select everything, clicking here. And why don't I also select all of these charts, click here to select all the visualizations, bring them into my canvas. Now, within about a minute of me talking, I already have this kind of dashboard showing me, helping my brains actually understand a profile of my data set, but it's not really looking good there. So why don't I look at the details, like I said, select all the visualizations. It's pretty dense, but I'm going to select everything, and I'm going to ask OAC to distribute equally the width. Now, all of my visits are distributed, and distribute the height as well. And while I'm at it, I'm just going to beautify a little bit because, all of these titles are not really useful because I have the data in the axis, the y-axis, the x-axis. So I'm going to remove all of the titles of all these all at once because I have select all. And while we're at it, we could also remove that label axis here for the y-axis because it's eating space. So we want to be dense. And okay, so maybe I should turn off my camera just to save on bandwidth. Here we go. Let me carry on. Let me just briefly remove my y-axis, my value axis title, move it, and just make this a little bit denser. I could change the font size and so on. I'll skip on this for time's sake. And of course, now with my dashboard, I can simply use the existing interaction. So that is also part of the challenge, which, building a chart or a interactive experience. So now I can use any viz as a filter for the entire dashboard. So far, I've just been showing you pretty simple stuff that helps me understand the data, which probably you may want to also do with either your data sets or the data set that we've explored. But here, it's a very powerful way for me to get familiar with this. Now, what if we wanted to go a little bit further into detail and look at what is driving, what is really correlating with current lap time, probably speed, as we saw in the key drivers, probably throttle, brake, how about engine? Let's do this. So we could pick some visualization that help us in the default. So by the list here is already reduced to whatever I have selected, but there is one in particular that is correlation metrics. Probably this will help me understand how things are correlating to each other. Yes. Okay, this is interesting. This is also already telling me that, some metric correlates with another one. So the current lap time with the speed, but it's not really readable. But there, one thing I could do is simply expand a little further down and look at some custom extensions that have been uploaded or create my own custom expansion. Here's one, for instance, that is a scatterplot metrics plugin. So if I click on this one, and I apologize, my screen is playing a few tricks on me here. Okay. What am I missing? I'm missing the details. So let me have details as session IDs and maybe the laps in the session. So how many sessions and how many laps? Let's see what happens with this. Now we have a little bit more of a visualization of current lap time in second correlates with speed. In fact, like I said, go into the details. Don't be shy of looking at properties and changing properties for any viz. Let me turn this to 2 pixels. Now I can visually see, and in a meaningful way, that speed obviously correlates negatively with the time it takes you to run the race. Brake to some extent does. It's interesting, and in fact I can go and add just like if it was a, okay, now I'm missing something here. I could break it down by some other color. For instance, my visualization allows me to rapidly understand this data. And my point here was to show you that you can carry on with, or you can go on with custom visualization using the ones that have been uploaded in the environment, or building your own custom visualization, or asking us for help if you need in building some extensions. Now, let me close that quick demo by something simpler. I see that I have position here, X, Z, I have frame identifier. I could think of a map to represent this, or I could think of maybe ask the system to just create the best visualization. What's that going to happen? Scatter plot. Again, I could go into the details here and make this a little nicer, and find that I can change the dot size, the point size from what it is to a little smaller. Let's make it 3 and see what happens. And I could also ask the system to connect the dots with a line. So this is going to take all the dots in a sequential way according to the frame identifier. So the frame here is the moment where the information got captured, and connect them as a line. Okay, that's interesting, but it's messy. It doesn't really help. It doesn't make much sense. Maybe what I'm missing is a sequence to have it right. In fact, every frame identified has been captured in a sequence according to which session it was belonging to. So what if I drag session ID as part of this picture? So now I have lots of points, probably more than 10,000 points right there. And here's my racetrack. And it makes sense. So when you visualize the data, try to make the most of the capabilities of the visualization, such as a scatter plot in this case, but also the fact that we have adjusted them with lines, and the fact that the sequence also matters. The visualization is not going to be just magically on its own. Just to wrap, well, could we compare this to, well, first one thing I want to highlight, you see this little eye here? This is showing you that, so I clicked on that little eye, and this is going to tell me that you can read that, okay, you asked to visualize a lot of data, so we've done a sampling in the visualization. Don't be scared, this makes sense, and it's really helpful. There are about 200,000 rows in this data set, so obviously we're not going to represent 200,000 points on data visualization. Now we could go, why don't I let me be brave. You see that little icon here? This little icon helps you deconnect or apply the changes only manually. So because I have lots of rows, I'm going to ask to the system to represent this shape with a color for each session ID. And as a matter of fact, well, okay. So now the visualization is going to represent only some session ID because it's sampling it. But if I wanted to see the difference in the shape of these races according to sessions that had the fastest current lap time, so top 10 are actually the slowest because top 10 current lap time is the longest lap times. And let's apply this and see if the top 10 sessions here have a particular sort of, we can see that, they're going kind of on and off. Now, what if I look at the bottom ones? And why don't I turn this apply? Is there any difference? So now visually, I got this little brown one here because we have laps that are not valid. Of course, we only want to look at only valid laps. Okay, so that's going to remove this non-valid lap at the bottom. But now you can see that this here is a lot cleaner than the bottom one. So where I'm going with my example is that I took this data and just using completely simple vanilla techniques, I can visualize it in a meaningful way that translates a message. And this message is that, of course, If you're not following the track, it's going to take you longer to complete the race. I'm short on time and I need to give it back to Carrie, but I wish you good luck. I hope you will enjoy it. And don't hesitate if you have questions, we'll be here to help you. Thanks a lot. Carrie, back to you.
Thank you, Philippe. Great ways to show how. Thank you. So you saw some of the telemetry comparisons. The latitude and longitude points are the mapping that Philippe was able to show for the track. If we go to the next one, I just want to touch on two quick items on the insurance. Opening up these DVAs allow you to see some of these representations of the dashboard visualizations that are on there. Also the coloring. I saw some questions coming in about, can we change the colors? Can we do that? The community has really great references. Also our documentation for OAC has some great examples. We now have a lot of videos coming out. So whether you're wanting to do some time series geospatial examples, the industry of auto insurance is a great one to use. And then lastly, since we are short on time, I'm going to jump to the life sciences example for the drug safety. Again, here, categorical representations. There's a really strong use case to be able to use some of the machine learning as well and get some outcomes to do some predictions based on these different events and gender. There's lots of different variables in there that you can use to do different kinds of predictions. So I would just say play with the data and try to use some of the examples and lessons that we had coming in from Rebecca. Those were all really great points for you users to leverage. So good luck. Look forward to seeing all your data.
Fabulous. Thank you both, Carrie and Philippe, for the fabulous run through of all of the data we've given you guys access to. So just to broaden it out, alongside our sports and industry data sets, we also have another of other data sets for you to explore. We have a number of business samples from across finance, HR, and supply chain for you to dig into. And we also have a couple of data sets that have been in the analytics community for a while. So we have the sample order lines and sample states data sets involved as well. The reason why we wanted to incorporate these is we know that there's a number of people among you that maybe haven't got as much exposure to OAC as others. And for those among you, these are really nice data sets to play around with if you're potentially getting used to the technology. They've got some nice accessible insights in there, and they're nice data that's easy to use as well. So if you are newer to OAC, I would gravitate towards those particular data sets, and potentially if you're on more of the fusion data intelligence side, some of the business data might as well be stuff. I mean, I'm sure you're used to analyzing, so you might be breezing on through for that. But again, this is not a competition that we want to limit you to just what we can provide. We are giving you the ability to bring in your own data to upload and explore any data that you find, as long as that is public data. So please do use that opportunity to bring your own data into the tool itself. Fabulous. Well, now we've gone through some of the data assets you'll be getting access to. Let's move through into how we're going to be judging them. I've got two of our head judges on the call today. So we have Manisha Gupta, who's the Vice President of HCM Analytics, and Winston Wang, who's the Vice President of UX and Design within Analytics. I'm going to call on Winston to join me first, just to share a bit of his perspective on good design in general. Hi, Winston. How are you doing today?
Hey, Maddie, how are you?
I'm all good. I always love it when you call with the Oracle buildings behind you. It makes me happy every time, every single
I made sure I was here at work just for this, so the audience can enjoy a little bit of Oracle. Let me pivot down a little bit. There you go.
There we go. That's the stuff. Oh, fabulous. Thank you so much for joining us, Winston. I'd love to get started by just asking you, what do you really think when it comes to good design? What is the impact that that has?
Oh my goodness. Great design, good design. It makes a huge difference. I mean, we all want to create dashboards and data reports that are effective, right? That communicate to the audience what needs to be presented, what needs to be understood. And we want it to read well and be effective. But design can enhance that. It can hinder it if it's not done well, or it can add to the ability to not just understand the information more quickly and effectively, but to enjoy the experience, to be pulled into that experience and want to come back to it again and again. If you're the user, or if you have a general audience that you need this information to be shared with, they're going to want to engage with it if it's well designed.
Fabulous. And when you're looking at a data visualization, what are some of those key telltale signs that show to you that an author has had that appreciation for those good design techniques?
Yeah, absolutely. Good design, it's actually it's kind of a less is more situation. And in many ways, the hard work comes from the editing and the careful decision making. It's not necessarily about creating bigger and bigger dashboards or more and more visualizations. It's a lot of that thinking to reduce it down to what its essence needs to be for whatever its purpose is. And so there's an elegance that you can feel and see if you start to study and try to understand what the author was creating, right? That you can see that careful thinking and decision making.
Fabulous. Thank you, Winston. I wonder, before I go through some of the criteria we've got for our audience, do you have any pieces of advice for people before they set out on their data visualization journey?
Yeah, I did think about this a bit, Maddie. So, I'd say that, oftentimes people are creating dashboards, sometimes for themselves, sometimes for a small group of others, and sometimes for a larger group. But whatever it is, start with who your user is and who the audience is, and try to put yourself in their shoes and intuit or think about what they need to see and what's appropriate for them. And then another thing, I thought I'd say it this way, what story do you want to tell them? What story do you want to tell them? We're not reading stories to people. We're not writing stories per se, but in a story there's a purpose and then there's a flow. And I think that as your user or your audience is trying to understand something, there is probably some kind of linear or branching kind of journey that they take to understand what it is that they need to see. Think about that and think about how you can then, use the space efficiently with just the right amounts of information in the right sequence to tell that story. Another thing is that, and of course, this is coming from design, but I'd say that the beauty matters, right? And beauty isn't just about like colors and typography, though it is all of those things. You want it to look attractive, but it also helps with the functionality. It helps with how well people read and engage in the information you want them to understand. And a way to do this is to create a higher level set point of view, right? That connects with the audience and the kind of stories you want to tell. And then you might want to use a lightweight design system. And what that usually means is a set of colors and typography and a tidy layout that lays out all the information nicely. And that'll just help it read well and be neat and not chaotic and not confusing. And again, less is more. You don't need too much. Just focus on the stories you want to go tell. And then I'd say the last thing that might be great if you can add it in, it's very impressive when we see it is, dashboards and reports, it's digital. They don't need to be paper. They don't need to be PDF, right? They can be interactive. So leverage the interactive capabilities our platform has. And, once people are drawn in, let them lean forward and actually play around and interact with things to get even more out of it. And I'd say once you've got them at that level, you've got the most engagement. So that's not everything, but maybe some things to keep in mind.
Fantastic. Thank you, Winston. That's a fabulous rundown. And I'm really happy to say that your team has brought together a really fascinating training course as well for us to enjoy that Kristen will be taking us through in just a moment. At this point, I'd love to bring in Manisha Gupta, who's our VP of HCM Analytics and our head judge for the analysis side of this competition. Hi, Manisha. How are you doing today?
Sorry, speaking over mute. Hi, Maddie. Good morning. I'm doing well. Thank you so much.
Oh, I'm so happy to have you on. Thank you for joining us today. As our head judge for analysis, I'd love to ask, what are kind of those key components you see as good analysis, and what are the outcomes that they should drive?
Absolutely. And thank you for actually doing this and making it clear because, the interesting thing is we all love working with analysis. We all love working with visualizations. But what makes an analysis really important is when the user sees it, the why is clear, first of all. So I can get lost in a jungle of thousands of visually appealing charts and graphs, and I have no idea why I'm looking at it. And honestly, it's great, but it's also time consuming and time wastage. And after a while, you don't like seeing those analyses. So I'm just going to say in short, the why matters a lot. Be very clear. Sometimes I've seen good analysis which just like starts with a bold question at the top, or the visualization speaks so clearly that you know I'm really here for attrition modeling or revenue modeling. I cannot emphasize more Winston's points of story. We are all human beings. We're human beings, right? So we feel first, and when we think secondary. These are data-driven, proven hypotheses about being a human. So the more we can connect visually, intellectually, but also emotionally. So let's say if you're looking at an attrition modeling or even a revenue modeling, eventually it's about a story, right? Your revenue is going up or down. There's an anomaly. Something is working the way you expected it. Some did not work. Here are the correlations, but paint the story so that I can understand how to think about things on that topic, on my why. Very critical. Otherwise, you can give me five completely disconnected insights and I have no idea what to do with it, right? So that story which leads me, my third point. So first was, why am I looking at this analysis? Second is, how am I looking at the analysis? Is it answering the questions before I ask it? Is it connecting the dots? Is it me leading me to a logical conclusion? Where now my third point would be the so what is clear. Okay, I looked at your story, I understood. Now I know I need to make a decision, or I need to do nothing. I should be just chilling out. But the so what is super important, right? In the end, an analysis is all about driving business forward, logically to meet some goals, or sometimes to change behaviors because something is not working out the way we expect it to be. But human beings make decisions, change behavior only when they're clear about why I should do it. Why does it really matter, the story, and then the so what is very clear. So I'll leave you with that. Hopefully that helps.
That's fabulous. I guess just one final question for me, as you are one of the people that originated the idea of us doing this as Oracle and bringing this together, is there anything you're really excited to see as part of judging these entries?
Yes, I would say first of all, shout out to you and Ben. Like ideas comes dime a dozen. I think Ben's passion about great idea, let's make it happen. So first of all, thank you to the two of you. I mean, I'm a community person, people centric. I do people intelligence. So, when two people think versus hundreds and thousands of people jump and start making things work, it's a different level altogether. So, I think we did this internally within Oracle also at some point. Now we have opened it up for our customers and our partner community. It's just fabulous to see how different people think about different things. I mean, OAC is rich. So many visualizations, more than just a visualization. Now we can have, NLP. Maybe the assistant is coming down the stream, right? So there's so many ways of engaging with the data to answer your business questions. I am really excited to see what we will see, which our brains have not comprehended, but our community has. They have surprised us sometimes with, you guys keep talking about this all day long, but here's a different way of thinking about it. There's so much more to learn from each other. So thank you, first of all, for to bringing it to the community. And I'm just curious to learn and
Oh.
expand my brain with what others will think of, which so far I haven't.
I think that's an excellent idea to leave it on. Thank you both, Winston and Manisha, for joining me, and I'm super excited to get your perspective on our entrants when they come in. Fabulous. So for the audience, excellent. Oh, I see we're just launching the MPS survey, which will just quickly gauge your perspective on how informative this session has been for you. And I'll just, while you're answering that, scroll through some of these design criteria to wrap up on our judging session. So when it comes to how Winston and his team are going to be assessing your design, he's being joined by a number of key UX professionals within that group. So we've got Dave McLaughlin and John Fuller, who will be judging alongside Winston. And they'll be looking for three things. They'll be looking for clarity of purpose, which is the extent to which your entry demonstrates an awareness of the audience and their information needs, and also an awareness of its goal and its intention. How well is that demonstrated through the design? They're also going to be looking for the appropriateness of visualization. So have you selected those chart types very intentionally based on the data that you're trying to analyze and what you're attempting to achieve with that data and show in the data? And finally, they'll be looking at the quality of execution as in how to bring together, how have you brought together those key principles and practices of designs when it comes to maybe font, text, color, harmony, all of those good things. And you can find a full debrief on the community site for each of these pieces of criteria. Moving through to the analysis side, we will also be looking at a number of criteria here. So Manisha will be joined by Carrie Nielsen, who you heard from earlier, as well as Avinash Krishnaram, who heads up the data visualization aspect of Oracle Analytics. And they'll be looking for a number of things. They'll be looking for the range of methods. So how many different techniques of analytics have you applied to your particular question? What was the quality of the story you told along the way? And how deep did you go into your investigation? Did you maybe look at multiple factors? Did you look across a series of time? How far did we extend that analysis? All of those things will depend on your specific visualization and its goal, which is why the two things we'll be asking for you when you do come to submit your entries will be not just a PNG export of the image of the canvas, but it'll also be a short 2 to 3 sentence description of the topic, your audience, your intended audience, and your goal for the data visualization. And this will help our judges really look to the context of your visualization as they are trying to judge you as they go. Those just need to be sent to the data visualization mailbox and copying me, and you can find a full step-by-step and recorded video as we go along. Right, we've got a few more minutes together, and just to wrap, I'm going to hand over to Kristin Oostra, who's going to talk us through the training and support on offer for this data visualization challenge. Kristin, have we got you?
Yes, good morning. Thank you so much again. My name is Kristin Ostra, and I am the Director of Program Management with the Analytics Service Excellence team. Our team is really excited to create and share some informational content with you, which includes this data visualization webinar or data visualization best practices 5-part webinar series. As you can see, the dates of this are listed here on the left, and I'm just going to go over a few of these topics with you very briefly. So our first, and I guess just to frame it up, all of these sessions cover many of the best practices and topics that we've heard from all of our speakers today. So the first session really starts with topics like context and narrative and how important they are for information and understanding, and how critical it is to include that as part of the content you are building. The next two sessions really cover the various typologies of data visualizations and how to select the correct one given the work that you're trying to accomplish. So, we look at comparison or comparing values between different types, composition, showing parts of the whole, distribution, demonstrating a spread or pattern of data patterns. And then finally, we look at relationship, demonstrating the relationship between the elements, either correlation, connection, or location. Our fourth session, we've called this high value dashboards, and this one really covers the use of conditional formatting and color and how to best leverage that as part of the narrative you're trying to tell. And then our final session, we partner with the UX team to cover leveraging images and really developing quality infographics within the dashboards and workbooks that you're doing. So the dates and times are listed, or excuse me, the dates are on this slide, and the times will be listed on the data visualization challenge page where you can register. I also wanted to show you another place to get additional training if necessary. If you're new to leveraging our products and services, I would like to show you where you can get additional training. So Maddie, I'll share my screen. So most of you might be familiar with our community. So there's a lot of great resources here. If you go under the training tab and go over to the upcoming events, you can filter by upcoming events where you can register. We have a Getting Started series. We have several other topics around more advanced topics for workbooks and visualizations. You can also come here to past events, and if none of those upcoming times work for you, and you can come and you can watch a replay of any of our events that we've already shared. So with that, I will turn it back over to you, Maddie.
Thank you so much, Kristen, and we really appreciate having your team here to pull together some extra guidance for our communities that are navigating this challenge. When it comes to further support for this competition, because we're aware that there may be more questions that we haven't been able to answer just on this session, we do have a dedicated support forum, and that is also hosted on the Oracle Analytics community site, and you can find that in the emails that you will have been sent for this competition as well. We also have a knowledge-based knowledge article, which you can find under the knowledge base tab on the community site. This will take you through getting started information, training information, judging criteria, and even more. So it's highly worth a read if you are getting stuck. Finally, we do also have a competition inbox. So this is a mailbox that's manned by me. And because I'm on EMEA time, you may have a slight delay in response, but we'll do our best to get back to you within 2 working days, and hopefully less. So please do pop your questions on the forum first, but always feel free to reach out directly via Data Visualization Challenge mailbox at oracle.com. Now, with that, I'm super excited to say thank you all for joining. Thank you all for taking the time to put your hand up to do something a little bit extra. We are really excited to see what your creativity and talent will bring to this challenge. And we also really hope that you'll learn something new with us over this next month. So with that, in about 3 minutes, you should be getting a link to Oracle Analytics to be able to log in and register for the challenge, or not register, just log in to the instance and get playing around. And we are super excited to see what you create. With that, I will stop sharing and wrap up the webinar. Thank you everyone for attending.